Today we're using squid, and when I say squid, I mean the entire thing. You notice here's the tentacles of the squid being used on this hook. On the other hook, I happen to have a little bit of squid still on it where I was fishing all squid, but we're also fishing with the cigar minnows, which are native to these waters. The squid are as well, especially the deeper water here for the squid. But these are imported, actually brought up out of Florida, the cigar minnows that we're using out of the Gulf of Mexico. And groupers really like them. Pretty much anything that feeds on the bottom out here feeds on them. They're normal food for anything that swims out here, really, in the top or bottom. On every inch of the ocean is a very small percentage of the bottom that they live on. They live on the coral reefs, stuff of that nature. You noticed here, we've just rolled off. And this is the face of the ledge there. This is the big coral head, coral reef here. And the fish will live in very close proximity to it. You know, they'll venture a little ways from it, but they don't go across the street to eat. They don't eat out much. They eat at home. This stuff will anchor up. Will anchor right in the face of the ledge. That's where they live. And this is the equipment that we find them with. And see the coral reefs. You can see the fish mark. Probably some more sea bass and stuff.
Scamp grouper. These are usually over 100 feet of water when we catch these. And the gag grouper here, they'll be in shallow water. Shallow as 50 feet sometimes. Then right on out, you can catch them out to as deep as 300 feet, really. And these are American red snapper. They're a real pretty fish, delicious to eat. They've been illegal for several years, so this is the first year in a while that we've been able to keep any.
Like sea bass, one of our main cold fish that we fish with in the wintertime. I have to grade them out. Used to, there was a small, and that was anything under a pound. I mean, under 3/4 of a pound, but when they raised the size limit from 10 inches to 11 inches, it sort of did away with that. So now we grade them out 3/4 of a pound to 1 1/4 pounds, 1.25 is a medium. Anything from 1.26 to 2 pounds is a large. Anything over 2 pounds is a jumbo. I've done this enough to know that I can pretty much tell which ones they are, but there's a few of them I'll have to go in here and weigh. This is a large. This is a jumbo. That's a large. Jumbo. These are pretty bass. Anything for around here, a jumbo bass is a nice size fish. I'm putting the large over here. Jumbo. These are large. And I'm anything close I'll put in here just so I can go back and reweigh. That there is that's a medium. That was under 1 1/4 pounds for sure. But it makes a big difference when you weigh these things. You can eyeball it, but you miss too many. There's no way you can tell the difference between a 1.24 pound and a 1.26. And there may be $1 difference in the pound, so you definitely want to get it right. Okay. And that helps the fisherman. These are all mediums. This one could go either way, and I'm gonna put him in a basket by itself to weigh. That was too close to say. But you don't want to make a mistake because, like I said, it could cost you on the money. See, that was 1.29, so that made it to a large. And I would have probably thrown him in the mediums because I wasn't sure. That was 1.23, so he is a medium. And that one is 1.13, so I ended up with one large out of that, which is good. That's extra money for the fisher. Okay, so they have to be over 2 pounds to be a jumbo. Some of them I don't have to weigh. I mean, that fish there, that's a big fish. In fact, I'll show you how much. That's like over 3 pounds. That's a big bass for around here, especially this early into the year.
At high school in the wintertime, I'd commercial fish. Actually started liking that more than charter boat fishing. So since then, I've been offshore snapper grouper fishing, except for a few years I worked inshore setting nets and clamming and picking up conchs and all that kind of stuff. And then about 7 or 8 years ago, some really strict regulations started coming along to pushed me to get involved as an advocate in fisheries and try to promote some solutions that would eliminate a lot of that waste that we had. There was tons of fish we were having to throw back. A lot of them were dying. And so some of the simple things we could do is just managing the quotas right to avoid the closures. So you at least keep some of everything that you caught, or most of what you caught. And then things like the red snapper that was unloaded. With the red snapper, I learned about a way that we could release them where they would live. When you bring them up from deep water, they'll bloat, the gas in them expands, and a lot of them will just float off and die. And so if you send them back down past 60 feet of water, that's 2 atmospheres of pressure, and that gas recompresses, and they swim off and have a 90+% survival rate that way. And so I started trying to get some of the fishermen to practice that technique and gave a presentation to the snapper grouper advisory panel. And, so as a result of more people doing something to make sure that the fish we had to throw back live, now we can start keeping some of them. So I think it's important to not just complain and say, we shouldn't do certain things, but here's a better way, a positive solution that benefits everybody in the resource. And artificial reefs are another thing that I try to promote for our snapper grouper fishery. Make more habitat, make more fish. We can feed more people, make more money, have more recreational opportunity. It's just a win-win for everybody. Some fish we can stock, like cobia. I had to throw back a couple of cobia yesterday because they're closed now. And it's very easy one to stock. They're trying to do some industrial fish farming with them off our coast, which has a lot of negatives to go with it. That's as an alternative to that, I'm hoping that they'll begin a stocking program for them. Black sea bass is another one that can very easily be stocked. Stocking those can be done in state waters, and then they'll move on out to federal waters later on. It's just part of it. One of the things that I tried to promote when I started working as an advocate was the managing the quotas properly so we didn't have all these long closures. It creates what you call a derby fishery, where you have to go rush to catch the fish while they're legal. And then when they're illegal, you have to throw back so much of what you're catching, you have to stay longer and in worse weather to make enough money to keep going. So there's some safety side of it there that we need to be concerned about, and make sure that as we manage these fish, we consider the states, even state by state quota allocations could be a good way to let states or different regions manage it so that it suits their fishery, their weather, and what the consumers in the area.
The permits that are required to commercial fish for grouper snapper. It's basically going to be 3 permits. One is a snapper grouper permit, which is under a limited entry program with the federal government. They're not issuing them anymore. You basically have to buy one from somebody that has one to get in. You actually have to buy 2 and give one back to the government and keep one to get in. The program that was started about 10 years ago to decrease the number of permits. The second permit you have to have is a vessel operator license. The reason for it is, and it is on the individual. The snapper grouper permit is on the vessel itself. The operator license is on the operator, on the captain. The reason it's needed is some corporations are on multiple boats, some fish houses are on multiple boats, and you'll get a guy that breaks the law basically a lot on a boat, and he'll jump boat to boat. When this guy fires him, he jumps to another one. With the operator's license, you've got something you can take from him. You're making him more honest that way, and it's weeded out a lot of the bad individuals that are in any industry. Commercial industry certainly has them too. The other permit you have to have is a permit to land in North Carolina or whatever state you land in. And land meaning take your fish to shore. Yeah, because you're catching the fish in federal waters beyond 3 miles from shore, and you're taking them into state waters to offload. So you're basically in 2 different jurisdictions. You have to have that permit. The fish house also has to have a permit for a dealer's license. And trip tickets are done by the fish house and by the boat on every trip that's made, so they have good landing reports from the commercial industry of what's being caught and what's not. If you think about it, that makes, it's been my experience that the commercial fishermen obey the laws more, believe it or not, than the recreational fishermen do, because that license is everything to them. They have to have it. Without it, they can't operate at all. They're not going to risk losing that by breaking the law. And in the industry, there's a handful that that have to be taught and got rid of, and certainly the commercial industry has gone through that. Monetary value that the commercial fishery brings into the economy of the state of North Carolina and the United States in general is obviously the guy. It's normally measured in dockside value only. In other words, what the fisherman gets for the fish. He catches a 20-pound grouper, he gets $5 for it at the fish house. It's a $100 bill going to the fisherman. That's great. Do that multiple times, you've made a trip. It's worthwhile. But think about it, there's a lot more money that changes hands because he went fishing. He had to buy a boat to begin with. He's got to maintain that boat. Everything from cleaning supplies to the gas that goes in it, to the tackle, to the rod and reels, to every piece of equipment on it, and that stuff has to be kept up, and so a lot of money spent there. But after he sells that fish to the fish house, number one, the fish house is making money. They're marking it up. They're reselling it basically to either a processor or to another distributor, if you will. Right here in Hampstead, North Carolina, we have Atlantic Seafood. They distribute to about 10 states twice a week. They have trucks that leave from there, so those guys are making money. If they sell it to a processor, who then fillets it up, sells it to the general public, that's how the general public has access to these fish. Not everybody has the ability or the wherewithal or even cares to come out here and catch fish, but they love to eat different seafood products. So this is their access to it. The fish, it's everybody's resource, not just the people that actually come and fish for it. It's everybody's. It's every citizen, and that's their only access to it many times. It's because some commercial fishermen caught it and got it into the food distribution channel. Say if it's sold to a restaurant, okay, every waitress, I mean, it just keeps rolling through the economy time and time again. The trucks that haul it there, they have to be maintained. The tires, everything. The processors are having to get paid. The waitresses at the restaurant are making money off of it. The public gets access to it, and it basically rolls through the economy many times more than just the dockside value along this.